Hey, all right, guys, we're going to continue working on integrating art assets into the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration supplement that we're going to be publishing on DMsGuild very, very soon. So give me a second here to check my signal. I'll just go through my intro spiel real quick, and then we're going to look at spellcasting, amplified spellcasting, targeting ships and large-scale areas. So let's see. Give me a second here to do a mic check. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. You coming through? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, cool. Coming through. A-okay. Cool. Let me go ahead and grab that, and we'll post there. And let's see. Let's do that. Cool. And I'm gonna press some buttons here on my Discord. And okay, so here's my intro. My name's Phil Kearney. Hey, I create role-playing game supplements. I illustrate them, and I publish them online. I've been focusing attention here for the past, well, I've been focusing my attention on Spelljammer Combat and Exploration, and we've pretty much started work on it when the book, when the new campaign setting for Wizards of the Coast 5th edition, Spelljammer Adventures in Space, was published in August 2022. And we've basically been hammering away at building this thing out ever since then. That was like 19 months ago, and we are now on the brink of completion. So this book is a deep dive into the combat, spellcasting, and exploration chapters of the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide for 5th edition, and taking those mechanics and upscaling them to work with fighter craft and vessels at the 50 and 500 foot scale, as well as to expand exploration to the 1 mile up to 100 million mile scale to be able to do basically like hex crawl type games or point crawls through wild space in the astral sea at 100 million miles per day. And right now, we are working on the spellcasting chapter. We're going to take a bunch of art assets that we've been creating here over the past year and dropping them into their designated spots in the document. And while we're at it, we'll talk about how these mechanics work in general. And hopefully you think this stuff is cool and you'll want to check it out when the book publishes soon. So I created this book cover here, Spelljammer's Combat and Exploration, back on episode 15. So you can check that out here in the full playlist we have here. We're currently at episode 342, and all the way back at episode 1, we're looking at the mechanics. So if you think this stuff is cool, you want to see more of it in the future, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications so that you'll get alerted when I'm up and running again, which is about 11 times per week. So cheers to that. Big shout out if you're on the X Twitter platform. My name is at Phil Kearney. You can follow me there to get notifications when I go live. And a big shout out to the Spelljammer Preservation subreddit, our Spelljammer, for being supportive of the work that I've been producing, having really cool questions in general, and a lot of really cool conversations. So it's probably the coolest Reddit I've been on, period. So love it. Yeah, so without further ado, I'll get this book cover out of the way. And we've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got 10 pages here with 8 of them have artwork on them. Some of them have more than one pieces of art. So we're going to try to crack through this stuff. I got my timely timer working here. I've got Doodle, my stuffed animal, squid sitting on top of my microphone, helping keep the insanity at bay. And so we're going to just start integrating some stuff here. I'm going to, where the locks are, like on these pages here where you can see a lock. Inaccurate. There should be locks on the pages. There we go. On the pages that don't have illustrations on them, we have a lock. And it looks like every page in the book has an illustration on them other than ye old page 53. So, but here at the front end of the thing, spells that can affect ability checks. Ability checks affect your piloting score. So those are worth taking note of. And then amplifying spells. So you can use a spell amplifier, which is going to be a spelljamming helm, an orrery station, or an eldritch cannon. These are 3 devices that you can use that while you're adjacent or occupying space with them. And focusing, which we've talked about in the past, focus is like an item location-based concentration that doesn't interrupts concentrating on spells, but is required for you to be able to activate these different spell jamming devices, like an orrery to detect planets in far orbits, or an Eldritch Cannon to convert your cantrips and spell slots into siege damage, and the spell jamming helm, of course, to make your ship get up and go. If you have one of these spell amplifiers, when you cast a spell through them, as you normally would cast a spell, you can amplify them by upcasting. And you don't have to necessarily like upcast a 4th level spell to a 5th level spell slot. You can amplify a 4th level spell by spending a 1st or a 2nd level spell slot just as easily as you could spend a 5th or a 6th level spell slot, which lets you chew up a lot of your lower level spell slots to be able to cast bigger effects that you might not otherwise be able to get access to if you have to amplify by strictly upcasting. So you have your normal scale. Most spells operate at the 5-foot scale, like a Burning Hands is like a 15-foot arc, right? Well, if you amplify it with one spell slot through your helm, then you create an arc of fire. That'd be, instead of 15 feet, it'd be 150 feet. And if you upcast it to with 2 spell slots, it becomes a 1,500 foot instead of 150 feet. The interesting thing about a lot of these mechanics is that it's upscaling the size and area that it can affect things, but it doesn't necessarily affect the damage that we're dealing. Damage, for the most part, remains unchanged. It's that if you are casting a fireball, you're not going to do 600 d6 damage with a fireball. You're going to do you'll do 66 damage, or 86, or however much damage you're supposed to do with a fireball. You'll deal that damage, and it'll just be in a larger area, and it doesn't change the spell itself. Fireball can't affect objects, so you can't just drop a fireball onto a city and cause it to get destroyed. You could deal a lot of damage to people in the city if they're outdoors. Sure, you could do that. You could also drop a meteor on them and smash the city that way as well. So there's no limit on how you can cause mass destruction with large-scale objects, just in general. That's not the problem. The problem is upscaling the damage with it. One of the interesting aspects of this system is that ships don't have a lot of hit points. They can't take a lot of damage, but you can damage them like they're creatures. So Fireball can destroy a ship or catch it on fire and then destroy it. But you don't need to deal 600 d6 damage to destroy a ship. A ship is going to be piloted, and a lot of the safety of that ship is going to come down to who is piloting it, and them having the warding bond effect on the ship, so that when the ship takes damage, you can take damage for it, which you can heal. You can easily heal your own damage, especially if you have like a Twilight Cleric next to you, tossing on temporary hit points that you can use to soak damage for your ship to keep it going. When your pilot is down and your ship is unguarded, it can get shredded by weapon fire pretty damn quick. So we don't need to amplify the damage of a spell. We just want to amplify the area that the spell can affect. The range that you can cast it is amplified by 10 and then 100 times for the 2nd level spell slot. The area of effect that it impacts is multiplied by 10 and 100 times. But again, like an entanglement spell. If you're casting that on an asteroid and then trying to hit like fighter craft that are flying past it, then if you cast a single spell slot, it'll be able to affect those ships that are within 50 feet of the surface that you cast the amplified entanglement spell on. You can't just cast entanglement in the middle of space, because the spell says it has to anchor to something. It has to be anchored to ground that then entangles people to that ground. That's where the restraint comes from. So like you could drop a let's see, what do we got going on here? I'll get the actual work in a second, but if I were to drop an entanglement spell on this Starmoth, if I amplified the spell, this is a 200 by 200 foot space, I could hit entanglement on the ship. That won't entangle the ship. It's a large enough area that it will infect everything on the ship, because the ship becomes the ground that the spell is cast. But when you amplify it, it's going to be large enough of an area that'll be able to affect everybody on that ship. So in ship-to-ship combat, you can cause a lot of trouble for people that are on the ship, which is great, because you want to be picking at the people You can attack ships and knock out the ships, but a lot of times you're going to want to capture ships. But if you just want to destroy ships, that's great. You can do that, but you're going to need to do that with siege weapons, ramming. Spells are normally not going to get you there. Hey man, what are you doing? You're naming your ship Mother's Milk? Nice. Welcome to the mix, Tyler. I'm glad to have you here. So as we go along, I'm more than happy to drop more comments on these things as we proceed. But for now, I need to grab some corner art here and extract it and then drop it into the corner where it belongs. So I'm going to do like this. There we go. And then I'm going to copy paste, and I'm going to duplicate this layer and extract it as a new document here. And then we're going to crop this down. I see your text. I'll catch you in a second, my man. There. What's up? Leanne is here too. Hey, how you guys doing? Glad to see you. Let's see. We're going to look at the image size, and the canvas size is what I want. So I know that I use Microsoft Word for my art program. I don't use anything like Adobe Illustrator or anything actually professional. No, it's just Microsoft Word. It does the job that I want it to do. But Microsoft Word has problems beyond one decimal point. Like you would think that with like more decimals, you have more precise placement. With more decimals, you require more placement. But Microsoft Word can't handle better than 1/10 of an inch. That's as granular as it gets. So when I build these things, I have to round up. So we're going to round this up to 6.4 by 4. There you go. And I'm keeping here in the corner because this corner is the corner of the document. So that's what we're going to duplicate there. We're going to click on that. What was the size of that? I'm supposed to be keeping track of the size of these things because I can never remember the size of stuff when I'm juggling the stuff around and talking to y'all. So I'll do that. Let's use a simple snipping tool. Yeah, perfect. And let's see. I'm going to click OK. And then what I think I've learned I need to do while I'm going through this process is create a masking layer. So I'm sorry, did you guys have your kid already? Or are you just talking about Leanne's belly? Because I think it's a little soon for you to have a kid, isn't it? Congratulations. And I don't even know if Dylan's a boy or a girl. Still in the oven, still cooking. Let it cook. He's here. Nice. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. I was not blessed to be a father. So I have to consider the rest of the world to be my child. Hold the world like a baby. So I'm going to do like this. And I'm trimming this down. I'm creating this pseudo transparency so that when I drop this art over the margins that we have in the corner here, it'll blend in smoothly. I've had some issues with blending along the edges, and I think if I just simply rough blend like this, it'll help make sure it'll help make it more difficult to find where the illustration ends and the background image of the PDF begins. Time will tell. Let's up that a little bit, up the intensity. There we go. There. And blending this down like that is generally a pretty good idea. There we go. He just wants to help, holds the world like a baby. Over, using calm like a baby. be like that. That should be pretty good. So I'm going to integrate this, apply the mirror mask, and then we're going to save as a PNG file. Let's make sure we're in the right area. Spellcasting. And this is what page are we on? Page 48. See, there's no way I would have remembered how large that the size of the image space that we're supposed to be creating right now. Page 48. I can barely hold on to numbers right now. God, Derb Nagget. Let's go to save as interior spellcasting. This is how I'm supposed to be doing. I have to switch to the mouse because if I'm on the pin, it creates this weird flick pin effect, like for supposedly writing. It just doesn't work for me. Is that right? Page 48. Yeah. So while it's doing that, let's float over to our document. We have over here on the sidebar, it's probably off screen for you, 6.4 by 4. So go to here, shape document, size, size equals 4 by 6.4. And then we're going to take the shape format and let's make this a little bit bigger so we can grab the align to the right and align to the bottom. That lines it up here in the corner. And with God's grace, we're going to be able to have this thing smoothly. It's still, you see down here, I don't know if you guys can see down here on the ribbon. Hold on. Let's see if that's appearing for y'all. Oh no, it's conveniently off screen. Where do you guys end? Oh wow. Okay, like maybe an inch below where the camera cuts off, there's a little progress bar. PNG files take a long time to save, notoriously long time to save. So outline has no outline. That's good. Fill in with a picture from file is going to equal spellcasting. Got that there. 48. There we go. And then it just drops into the document. Now I'm going to right click. We're going to send it to the back behind text. We're going to take this. We're going to fill with nothing. I need to do that because if I, hold on, we'll take this and we'll go to send it back. So we have this navigation. Give me a straight one. Here's the navigation bar, right? And if I click on this, it'll take us to a specific page, right? So we're bouncing around inside of it. And if I put an image, here's where we're supposed to be. If I put an image and I overlay it on top of this navigation bar, I won't be able to click on it anymore. So I have to put the image behind the picture. But since this corner art is integrated into the frame that we built, I have to get rid of the navigation bar so that the navigation bar will have a border that you'll be able to see through the astral. What am I calling that stuff? The Esper strands. I was calling it something like that. Anyway, so here's this, and if everything goes smoothly, see, check this out. Like this is really, really close as far as the border is concerned. It's just about perfect, close enough that I don't think I need to worry about it if it's actually off. But when we actually go into and see here again, this is really well integrated. So when what I want to do is spot check it though. So I'm going to export this as a PDF document, and we're still on page 48. That's good. Interior, we'll go to the test options, current document without properties or rigmarole, publish, replace, single page, 48. And if everything goes smoothly, look at that. Very smoothly integrated into the document. Very, very smoothly integrated. And then we'll come over here. This will be our perfect. It just lines up. So that's good. That is a successful piece of integrated artwork. Friendly timer. Now I just have to do that like 46 more times, and I'm done with the book. Then we still have the tokens. I have to extract all the ship tokens, creature tokens, and NPC tokens as black and white and line art or black and white or color icons in separate folders. And then we have the maps for Lattice or Axis, both color and black and white. And then we have the product page to type up the bragging rights about, here's a cool thing you're going to get if you buy this book, please do. And then I can integrate all that into the PDF with the zip file, put it on DMsGuild, put it for sale, give you guys a coupon. So people that playtest to get a free version. So if you guys are interested in the stuff that I'm building, ask if I'm playtesting stuff, and I'll add you to credits, and I'll give you a free copy of it for your help, assuming that you contribute something to it and don't just show up and bullshit for a while and then fuck off. I don't need that in my life. I don't think anyone else does either. But this is done, so I can get rid of this. There we go. Here we're talking about targeting effects. If I can get my mouse to work properly. Actually, let's go over here. We were talking about area of effects increasing in size as you increase the amplifier. Objects. So if you have a large scale surface, like let's zoom this back out again. If we have like I was talking about entanglement earlier, if I cast the entanglement spell on the ship, it would cover the deck of the ship. But like these open spaces wouldn't be affected. It would only be the surface area of the object that we're casting the spell onto. The blank spots just get lost. So you could theoretically wrap it around the structure, but that gets really sloppy really fast. It's just easier to say open space equals no effect. Girl, it's Aloy. A boy, it's Lucian. Hey, right on. Oh, Dylan's your roommate. Got it. Hey Dylan, Rumi. Dylan, girl is Aloy and boy is Lucian. Those are good names. It's looking good, as in like progress is good. Good for you kids. Let's extract this as its own little. See, this isn't meshing into the environment, so I can just extract this as a separate document here, and then I can just merge this one down, and then whoop, highlight that. Image equals crop. I'm going to drop a background in on here. See, look, there's a lot of like, I see. So I'm going to drop down to here. Let's do that. And how's this looking? Oh, I see. I'm messing with time space. There. Here. Oops. I want to trim that out. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that was going on. Huh. That is not good. Let's create a shape. What? That's a line, not a snarkle. No, I don't need a line. Thank you. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more. I think I can get this. Hold on. Hold my beer. feels about right. There. Takes a delicate touch. Don't touch the sides. Butterfingers. There we go. There. Now, image. A lot more manageable. There we go. Very good. Let's see what our size is. Let's go to canvas size. And this can just be center splashed. So we're going to go to 3.8 by, fuck it, 3.8. That file, I can remember 3.8. Save as. I'll go back to here and we'll resize this to 3.8. There, and then we can. I bet it was supposed to be 4.8, 3.8, wasn't it? I'm self-owning. I can sense it. Dab, nag it. $3.8. Thank you, Kearney. 3.8 by 3.8. There we go. Hey, congratulations! Finding an artist that you want to work with is fantastic news. Let's see if this is going to mesh smoothly. No outline. Filling equals picture from file. 49. Looking fine. I'm going to use let's use my mouse to put this in its place. Just like that. Icked. No longer need your services. Thank you kindly, sir. That line is right over the S. That one is right between. Very good. And that should be lined up with the dot, a little bit under, middle of it. There we go. Very good. Oh, I didn't realize we had a little corner grub down here. We don't. I think at one point we had thought we were going to put a corner grub and we decided not to. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Oof, yeah. This is too small. If it's 4 lines or less, we don't make corner art out of it because the space is already squeezed. It'll just make it feel pinched, and it'll just be like a little, like it'd only be like a little, like it'd be that big, you know. It's hardly worth it. So, because I want to keep a little bit of a margin between the text and any kind of page stuff that we do to keep, to keep shit separated. Oh, but that's too small of a space. So cool. Life just got a little bit easier. And this isn't a thing. Okay, so great. We are looking at the... okay, so spellcasting is great if you have a mana pool, right? Or spell slots if you're a loser. And so what we want to do is think about what if it's a creature? What if monsters, like creatures don't count? There's a difference. Characters are creatures. Monsters are creatures. Characters are not monsters. Creatures are not necessarily monsters. Monsters are hostile NPCs, or basically any hostile creature that's not the characters can be qualified as a monster. Technically, even friendly creatures. It's just, is it an NPC or is it a player, right? And if it's a player, you have a resource system typically that's going to allow you to limit the how much a character can do per day. But monsters don't have to have that limitation. Monsters can have like unlimited use of spells as you wish, or whatever. So amplifying a monster spellcasting, if like say let's say a beholder is using an eldritch cannon to amplify a disintegration I-beam, right? It doesn't have a spell slot. It can shoot I-beams all day, and if it's angry, it most likely will. So when it uses an amplifier to increase the range of that disintegration to affect longer targets further away, it's going to roll a d6, and then when a monster amplifies with a 50-foot spell slot, the target number is a 5 or a 6 on a d6. When it amplifies with a 500-foot scale, the target number is a 6. And let's see, when monsters that can cast spells or have similar abilities but no spell slots can amplify spells as a rechargeable ability. After amplifying an ability, it cannot use it again until it has recharged. At the beginning of the monster's turn, roll a d6 and add the monster's rank. If the result meets or exceeds the recharged target number, the ability can be used again. So if it's a 50-foot scale or one level worth of amplification, the target number is 5 on a d6. 5 or 6. And then if it's amplified twice to the 500-foot scale, is a 6 on a d6. And then whatever you roll, you add the rank of the creature. And we have our rank score that we talked about previously under crew ranks. So we have like monsters, anything that's up to a CR1 is first rank. Up to CR5 is second rank. Up to up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 1, and then up to 4, and then up to 8, and then up to 12. There you go. And then it's 1, and then 5, and then 9, and then 13, and then 14 plus is 5th rank. So a beholder is a 4th rank monster. And why? Oh yeah, this is old. For example, a beholder is a 4th rank monster because its CR is, I think, 10. So that puts it in the 4th rank. And so when it uses an eldritch cannon as detailed in the weapon, like the amplify, like a slow ray or disintegration or whatever, 500-foot scale, at the beginning of its turn, it rolls a d6 plus 4. If the result is 6 or more, the beholder can use the slow ray again. Otherwise, it can attempt to recharge again next turn. So the higher rank your character, the creature is, the more likely it's going to be able to spam amplified abilities. And again, if you hit a ship with a slow ray, I think we actually have this one referenced. We have a number of spells that we have referenced throughout this book to give you guiding principles for upcoming spells that will exist on how you can treat them. So here's an example, since we're looking at slow. When targeting a ship within the area of effect, the current pilot must succeed the saving throw, or the pilot must succeed the saving throw, or choose between taking an action or bonus action. And the ship movement speed is reduced by 2 squares while in combat. So one slot, the range is 1,200 feet, which is 3 500-foot squares. The area increases in size to a 400-foot cube, which is an 8 by 8 area in the 50-foot scale. And if you spend 2 slots to amplify, the range increases to 12,000 feet, which is basically a 3-mile range. And the area increases in size to a 4,000-foot cube, which is an 8 by 8 area at the 500-foot scale. And otherwise, it's the pilot that's being affected because you're targeting the ship. And so you're targeting the ship as an object, but the thing that controls the object is the pilot. So whoever is focusing on and in command of the ship at the time of being hit by this slow spell, it's that pilot that now loses all their action economy. So they're not going to be very useful with steering the ship. So you probably want to pull them off until they can pass the saving throw and have a co-pilot take over. If Han takes a bullet to the head, Chewie's going to have to do a little bit of flying until they can dump old Han into a med suit. So that's the idea behind that. Most of the time, if there's a saving throw, if a saving throw is damaged, it'll affect the ship unless the pilot takes some of it. But if it's a condition that you're affecting the ship as a target with, then it is going to the pilot is the one that makes the saving throw, and it's the pilot that's going to take the penalties. Like a hold monster spell, for example. You could target a ship with a hold monster spell, and it's the pilot that would have to make the saving throw, and the pilot thus becomes paralyzed and unable to pilot the ship. And the ship will basically, he'll still be at the helm, can still take damage for the ship. You can't change direction. You're going to drift. You can't turn. You can't help your team. They're going to have to pull you off the helm and replace you so they can have somebody freaking turn the boat. So fun stuff there. Let's see. So right now we are this is a corner piece. So what I need to do is I don't need to bundle those into a folder. What I do need to do is conceal the text. Yeah, I want to take the text. Oh boy, there's a lot going on with this guy. And I love this. I only kind of cared about blending in the border. I like that I gave myself the freedom to break frame when I wanted to. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I do. I think that adds to a lot of variety to how this like corner stuff ends up looking. So this is a space galleon currently in the process of being shot by a beholder hive ship. And this is one of the arcane cannons that are attached to the ship. The ship itself is a 100-foot. It's like a 100-foot vessel, and the galleons are 130 feet. So this is further away than the galleon. So using the laws of perspective, this is naturally a little bit smaller than this, but not significantly smaller, and that is going to probably hurt a lot. So let's extract this. I'm going to, again, grab the corner here and pull all of this. We'll take this all the way out here. And we'll retract, expand and retract. So let's go with copy, paste all. We're going to duplicate that layer and send it on to a new document, and then we're going to image equals crop, and then we're going to image canvas size. And so width, I'm going to let's go to 7.3. And then here we can just go to 7. And I'm going to copy that because I feel like I'm not going to remember it. My memory is garbage. There. We'll hit yield save. Now we have a border around everything. And again, we're going to create a masking layer so we can blend out the border a bit so we have an easier time blending these things together. So I'm going to hit the old button there and just strewn this across and strewn that down. And then, ooh, fudge, I did that wrong. I was supposed to do the corner. Image, canvas size, lower left corner. I am the worst. That's the way to do it. So that corner stays pure. Nope. And we want to build a masking layer, go across like that, and then down like this. That's the way to do it. It'll blend up like that. Let me just blend this in here a little bit. This is all going to get covered over by the box of text, so it's not really important. I want to blend that in a bit, like that. Doesn't have to be anything radical. I'm just taking the edge off, literally taking off the edge, so that it has an easier time just integrating. Integrate. So we're gonna bend that out here. I tell you what, man, when we get around to making the Martial Powers book, that is gonna be some fucking fun artwork, man. It's just gonna be a ton of marshals just kicking the fuck out of stuff. So much fun. God, I am really, really, really looking forward to the artwork in that book. That is gonna kick so much ass. And the two paradigms that we're focusing on in that book is obviously the color mana paradigm, the color magic. Thank you. And but the other is the elemental magic. So like Last Airbender and stuff like that. So half the illustrations can be like Ravnica, Strixhaven, Theros stuff, and then the other half can be like Avatar: Last Airbender stuff. And I fucking love that show. Such a great show. I didn't like the second. I didn't like Korra's story nearly as much as the original. I mean, who can blame you, right? But even still, there's that whole monk aesthetic is just super cool. Absolutely love that. Which is why I made the Elemental Key book. That's linked down below in the color mana bundle that I have. It's the first elemental mana book that I created, and obviously suitably for the Way of the Four Elements. I'm not happy that Wizards is bending away from figuring out how to make monks work with spellcasting on its short casting system. I just think they're lazy. It's easier to design away from complexity to simplify things. It's more difficult to increase complexity to work with a narrative theme when you can simplify the narrative so the mechanics are easier. But that doesn't feel like, well, I mean, that feels like the kind of decisions that lead to you being a multi-billion-dollar company, like not caring about the details and instead looking at the bottom line, which is different from details, is very much how you successfully, quote unquote, successfully run a business. But that's not what makes an artist satisfied. And sadly, I am so much more an artist than I am a businessman. I don't know. Maybe it's not sad. I do know if I was more psychopathic, I'd probably be able to move further along in my career than I am. Unfortunately, I have too much empathy. It prevents me from making cutthroat decisions and wanting to be like I don't want to own a business. I just want to do art. Unfortunately, I have to, do all that business stuff if I hope to do it for a living. That's okay. I don't need to rant about it. I know what it is. There. We're going to go like that. I bet that's going to be good enough. So we're going to apply the layer mask. And we're going to save as a PNG file. Third verse, same as the first. This will be ye old page 50. That is how old ye is, right? Oh, I'm on the wrong page. Here we go, 50. Correct. And now we're going to hit here, and it's going to take a while for that to render. So let's go take a look at what we have here. Let's build our box. Uh, 7 by 7.3. go. Chip, chop, chiree, chiroo, chirum. Oi to the vey, Mother Hubbard. Let's align that. This is a biggins. Let's go to shape format, and I need to, I guess, expand this. There's text going on down there. I can tell. Hold on. I'll get y'all. We want to be align left, and then we want to align bottom. That automatically positions it so it's hugging the corner. Oh, good. I'm not missing anything. Good. And it's still saving. Still saving. It's a big document. I mean, it's like 2/3 of the page. That's, well, I have time to take a sip of water. How about that? Let's see. What other fun details do we have that are worth citing? Targeting siege crews. Siege crews under command don't have specific individual actions. While you're commanding a group of characters to be the crew of a siege weapon that you're commanding with your action economy, the creatures that are part of that crew give up their autonomy. They become kind of like a swarm that's attached to the siege weapon that they're operating. So siege crews under command don't have specific individual actions. So affecting an individual crewmate's ability to act or fight, such as being affected by the slow, fear, and sleep spells, or being reduced to 0 hit points, increases the ready score for that weapon by 1 for each crewmate affected until the condition ends. If like say a mangonel, it requires 5 crew to be able to operate under normal conditions. It has a reload score of 5 minus the rank of the crew. So like say a second rank crew of 5 crewmates that are operating that mangonel would then have a reload score of 3. With 5 if you added more creatures, it doesn't increase the reload score. It doesn't make it load any faster. You've just got more creatures there. So if that's the case, like if you're fighting something that, like, let's say a bunch of Umber Hulks get on your deck because Nyogi's fighter ships just dumped a bunch of them on your deck. As they start mesmerizing crew members of your siege crews, they can no longer, if you kill them or if they get stunned or slowed or restrained or blinded, if you're affecting individual crew members with conditions, they no longer help the reload score for that weapon. So that crew we were just talking about, the 5 characters, the 5 creatures in the crew at second rank, dropping the reload score from 5 to 3. If you blind 2 of them, that reload score increases from 3 to 5 because they're no longer helping you. If you had extra crewmen on deck with the weapons, if you had 7 crew instead of the minimum 5, then losing those 2 crewmates doesn't matter because you still have 5 crew that are working it. But now you also have to pay and maintain a lifestyle for that additional crew that's just literally being there in case a beholder attacks. And honestly, you're going to have to pay me a shitload of money to be there specifically to tank damage from a beholder. Screw you, Oofus. That's gonna cost you. So keep an eye out for that stuff. That stuff can get expensive. That can get expensive. Let's see if I built this correctly. So let's go to outline. No outline. Picture from file, ye old page 50, bammo. Now let's take this and drop it to the back. Take the bullshit to the back of the bus. Nice. And now we'll send it back again. And then here, we're gonna unfill this. There you go. And if we did everything correctly, this should be sitting very smoothly on the document. So let's go ahead. You know what? Honestly, I'm going to hit save first. That feels like the right thing to do right now. So then we'll go to export as a PDF, and then we'll go over here to the test PNG insert document. Current page is the document with our bookmarks in place without any properties or structure tagging. Publish, replace. What's up? Yeah, so far so there it is. Look at that gorgeous piece of work. Uh-oh. We're off a tick. You see that? I might be able to go in here and bump this, just nudge it with an arrow key. And that could potentially fix the problem. Or that could go too far. So I'm going to zoom in. That's too far. So let's drop that. Actually, there. Let's try that. Hit save there. And then we'll go and then we'll export. It's a little wonky sometimes. So it takes a little bit of fidgeting. I'm sure if this was InDesign, it'd be perfect every time. Whatever. Blom. Export. Oops. Now it's over a touch. Okay. This is probably going to be a job for pushing pixels. Before I go pushing any pixels, let's just see how ridiculously close in I can zoom and see if that affects my margins. Did I not? No, I calibrated the size. Yeah, I did that. Nope, that's not the one I want. Here. Yeah. Let's see if that for some reason did the trick. It should technically make it drop under, and if it does, that means I need to add a pixel of lines. But this is a little quicker than adding pixels, if necessary. So let's try this one more time, and if it's still off, I'll just pixel it. So, kiss and a prayer. Hey! We did it! That's all we needed. We just needed to zoom in a little bit more. Look how smooth that sits. God, that's gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Why are you like all the way like off the page? There we go. Get back, Loretta. Go home. Love it. God, I love this art so much. This is such a fucking fun project, guys. Such a fun project. Yep, that's all lining up. Okay, I love it. I fucking love it. All right, that's cool. Save button engaged. Back it up. Now we're getting into the notable spells. Cantrips. Blade Ward. This spell can be cast normally or amplified. Cast normally. A pilot or commander gains resistance to damage taken for the ship, crew, or squadron. One slot up, you can target a craft up to 50 feet in size. 2 slots, you can target a ship up to 500 feet in size. Until the end of your next turn, you or the targeted ship has resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Okay, what's the difference there, right? If your ship takes 500, let's make it a little bit more reasonable. If your ship takes 60 points of damage from a trebuchet shot, and you have a decent level character, you can tank damage for that. Say you want to take 30 points of damage for that. If you had Blade Ward active on the pilot, and the pilot takes 30 points of damage, then the ship will take 30 points minus its damage reduction. So if it's a metal ship like a Scorpion, for instance, or a Night Spider, it's got 20 damage resistance. So that 30 damage is then reduced down to only 10. The pilot chose to tank 30 points of damage on behalf of the ship. By casting Blade Ward, you now have damage reduction to that stone that hit the ship, so you're going to take 15 points. So that 60 points of damage that just got dealt to you by a mangonel stone is 10 damage to the ship, 15 damage to you only. And the size of the ship, a fighter craft are up to 50 feet in size, and vessels are up to 500 feet in size. So if you're in a Scorpion ship is 75 feet, this is the one that we're using the example of. That would be a second level spell slot because it's larger than 50 feet in size. So you could then give the Scorpion itself that damage resistance. Why is that? So you can target a ship up to 500 feet in size until the end of the next turn. You or the targeted ship has resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. This is going to, if you have a co-pilot, so you have multiple characters that are piloting a ship, and while you are active on that ship, what's the Hold on real quick. I'm delightfully interested. Let's see. Blade Ward equals 5e Blade Ward. Let's just go to D&D Beyond. Trust the information there more. Blade Ward. Duration 1 round. So you extend your hand and trace a sigil in the of warding in the air until the end of your next turn. You have resistance against bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage dealt by weapon attacks. There you go. So last 1 round. And it is an action to cast. So if you have a support character that's co-piloting with you, they could use their action to basically, they can cast Blade Ward, but then they have to amplify it. It's a cantrip for free. So that co-pilot, and it's self only, isn't it? Yeah, self. But while you're focusing on a helm, your self becomes the ship. You can have multiple people all call the ship self if they're all focusing on the spelljamming helm, which is the idea of like a bridge of a ship. Like if you've seen Battle Beyond the Stars, there's one of the ships has a dais with it's like a hexagon dais with multiple stations, and there was multiple creatures that were around the dais operating different systems of the ship at the same time. The same idea, you can have one on the helm and then like 6 characters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can have up to 9 characters within 5 feet of a helm that's only 5 feet. You could have larger helms, but regardless, you could have, as long as you're adjacent to or occupying the space of the helm, you are considered self when you are, while you're piloting the ship, while you're focusing on that helm. So you could have somebody using their action each turn to cast Blade Ward. Granted, it would cost them a spell slot. Well, for the larger ships, it'd cost them 2 spell slots. Or if you're using a color mana or any other spell point system, like if you're using my universal spell point system, it would cost you 2 spell points. But that's something that you could reasonably, you could potentially spam and save your ship. If you're absolutely overpowered, you can just start dropping Blade Wards onto your ship, and then the pilot, of course, if the pilot is using their action to cast Blade Ward on themselves, then that means they are limiting themselves to a bonus action, an object interaction, and that's all the action economy they would have. So they would be really reducing their ability to help navigate the ship by doing that. So having a co-pilot using the support role to be able to hit Blade Wards onto your vessel, like if there was an 18th level wizard that can has spell mastery, right? That can cast any spell up to 2nd level, basically for free. You could amplify. You could make amplifying spell slots. Could be that mastery. So an 18th level wizard that is a spelljammer by trade could seriously consider permanizing amplified spells while focusing on a spell amplifier, so that you wouldn't have to continuously pay that upcasting fee. All you'd have to do is cast the actual spell level that you're actually casting at, and it would automatically affect the ship that you're using. That is really high quality. You can anticipate from me in the future some class modifiers, like a sorcerer, like a spelljamming sorcerer that uses their sorcery points to amplify spells while focusing on a spell amplifier. That's a really good use. So stuff like that. Another idea, an artificer being able to create a helm, and at higher levels being able to create an entire fighter craft, like a rocket scooter, that sort of stuff. Like, there's a lot of really fucking cool stuff we can do with our building specific spelljamming subclasses. But let's get this book out first. Hornetico had a really kick-ass class that he was playtesting this with, the Stunt Pilot, that was pretty much tailored. It was basically like a battle maneuvers character that could use their maneuvers while they were piloting a vehicle, depending on what kind of vehicle it was. But he had built, the one they chose was for the airship, which worked perfectly with Spelljammer, and it was honestly really good. Like it did things like Ranger, like the Ranger gets like a bonus action doing blah de blah. This is like while you're attacking with weapons on your ship, you get an extra attack per round. Like cool stuff like that. Very, very clever use of existing game mechanics and applying them to a new system. I think his stuff is actually worth checking out quite a bit. I just like the cut of his jib, to be honest. So you'll see him crawling around here on occasion. He's also on my Discord server. If you're interested in being on my Discord server as well, for those that don't know, I just updated the link, but the About page of my Patreon gives you free access to my Discord. I don't have any hidden secret handshake Illuminati channels yet. I've got like 5 supporters, and God bless you guys that do. But you know, I don't have any secret channels yet. Basically, people that are patrons get first rights to seats at playtesting, and their votes count as multiple votes when we're making a decision about what we want to do. So let's look at this. This is the ensnaring strike. So when you hit with a siege weapon attack, if the target attack is a ship, the current pilot must succeed the saving throw, or the ship is restrained until the effect ends. If the target is a siege weapon, it cannot attack until the effect ends. You spend 1 spell slot, you can target a craft up to 50 feet in size, which also includes siege weapons. Second slot, you can target a ship up to 500 feet in scale. Each creature affected can use their action to make a strength saving throw to break free. And the ship and any creature aboard without total cover takes d6 damage per round for the duration of the spell. D6 isn't a lot of damage to deal to a ship, but to a craft, you could actually damage like a rowboat and stuff like that. You can damage it. It's not going to do much against a vessel because they're just too big and the damage reduction is too high. You're unlikely to do any damage to them at all. But the restraint is a serious condition. And then there's Fairy Fire, which is if a ship is within range of, is within the area of effect, the current pilot must succeed the saving throw, or the ship and all aboard are affected by this spell. 1 slot, range increases to 600 feet. 2 slots, range increases to 6,000 feet, which is 2 1-mile squares. And so the artwork that we're working on now for that particular page, page 51, pop, pop. There. Here we have a Fairy Fire spell. I love this the most, about how this guy's fell off the ship and he's falling out of the air pocket, out of the air bubble surrounding this manta ray. So he's starting to form his own bubble as he falls out. That's just a little subtlety there. Throughout the document, you'll see bubbles coming, like bubbles coming out of ships with their own air envelope, basically peeling off like their own little bubble of air from a larger source. And this is the first illustration in the book that really demonstrates that. So I like these little vignette sketch pieces. They've been a ton of fun to create. Join the Discord server. It's a great place. Right on. Hey, kid. Yay, spells. You bet, my man. And it was fun making ships, too. A little wasp ship fighting a manta ray. Fun stuff. Just cool little ships. Freaking cool little... This is... Okay, so this is another integrated page trim. So what I'll do here, like the other one, is I will invisify the text. We'll make a big bubble here around it, and then we'll use our reference to be able to remerge it. So we'll do this. And I'm going to grab a space where the illustration isn't. There we go. And then I'll be able to copy paste, and then we can duplicate this layer into a new document. There we go. And then we will image crop and get your taxes done, Ked. It sounds like you guys are having a lot of fun. It was so cool being able to share this stuff with your family. That was unexpected and super cool. I'm glad they thought it was cool. It's you're onto something when people who don't play are like, yeah, that sounds cool. You know, like that really just hits a warm spot. 5x5 right border, and then we'll use the same effect that we had been using, the trimming down here. Like that. I'm just going to blend this in here. Sup? Yay! Hasn't properly done his taxes, and yeah, of course not. I'm glad, Tyler. That's why I built it, man. It's I am absolutely thrilled that it's scratching it it's just I think the most amazing irony of 5e is that the creators of the 5e game engine are the least willing to experiment and test new ideas and like expand what 5e means. And I know they don't do this because, again, billion-dollar company, they play safe and deadly. That's how they get to grow so large, and they leave all these weird couture design ideas to fringe artists like myself that probably won't ever make any money. Like the people that make a lot of money making 5e content are folks who are like, anyone could have made that. It's just they made it good and they did it. You know? Like, that makes me a real snob. I know that makes me a real snob, and I am not throwing shade at these people. Like, when I look at, like, let's make 15 spider monsters and sell those things as a spider bundle, I'm like, yeah, I can think of like 500 different spiders just off the cuff. But I don't do it because I don't do this necessarily for the money. The getting paid is like racking up a high score. The more books you sell, the more it means that people care about what you did. The more it impacted their game to the point where they're willing to invest in you making more of them. That's the scorecard most creative artist types in this game, in this creative space are kind of meriting themselves off of. The people that make a living off of this are the people that do like really generic, low-hanging fruit, but they're really good at it. So like, if you're going to like, there's like 15 people that have made Oath of Romance or whatever, for a horrible example. But the ones that really stick out are the people that really understand how 5e games work. So when they pick at that low-hanging fruit, it feels like it's a natural extension of the book. It's crazy heads like me that want to bend how 5e works to express the game in completely different directions, that are like kind of hanging off the edge and risking that their game mechanics don't actually work, or there's some sort of misfire with one of the mechanics that causes it to be OP and completely imbalancing of the game, which is why the further away from the actual text and documents of the official WotC 5e content is, the more fringe your details become, the more time you have to spend playtesting them, because you're trying to bend the system in directions that they weren't willing to go in. So since you're willing to go out there on your own, here, take this. It's dangerous. And this would be a lot of time and effort, just making sure your shit works properly. So I am in no way throwing shade at the folks that like hit the low-hanging fruit, because if you don't do a good, because there's like a dozen low-hanging fruit of the same idea everywhere. It's the people that do it well, that just do a crackerjack job of perfecting how it looks. Those are the people that actually do end up making a career, because they're identifying low effort, high yield success ratios, which is how a business person should be thinking. Stupid artists like me who don't think about business at all just want to build something cool that's bleeding edge technology that pushes the game further, even though I'm unlikely to ever make up for the year that it took me to make it. But that's the price I know I'm paying for pushing my design limits, right? And I'll probably backslide and find stuff that's useful, that more people will generally enjoy, but that's not my purpose. That's not what the muse drives me to do. But as a result of pushing that envelope, we're basically building a large scale engine that works consistently with 5e. Like, I see a lot of people trying to build like giant creature kaiju books and stuff like that, but it's always about, my 5-foot character is going to take on a 5,000-foot dragon. Good fucking luck. I want to equip characters with brute suits and like Hulkbusters and Veritex, that they can go at the scale of the creature and just clock it, Pacific Rim style, because that is a really fucking cool IP that I think is highly underrated. This is what, 51? I love it. Like the drift, the two pilots operating the ship in tandem. That is very much how the Spelljammer helm system works. You can have one person devoting their attention on creating and maintaining buffs and optimizing movement and dash actions, while the other character is spending all their action economy on activating new weapon systems, targeting, causing effects that disable their enemies. It's a really fluid system, and it's fucking cool. Super fucking cool. I'll probably make some Pacific Rim stuff on my Patreon because I didn't get the license, some idiot did. So cheers to that. But I'm throwing shade at evil. Well, I guess geniuses, for lack of a better word, right? Someday I'll be mighty enough to be able to claim big ticket IPs and do cool shit like this for things that really deserve to have cool shit like this. That is my long-term dream. Like Transformers and Power Rangers using this scaling combat system, fucking amazing. But Renegade Games didn't, invest the tech into it. I ain't throwing shade at them for it. It took me 19 months to get here. And maybe if I this is the wrong one. Maybe if I had a team, I could have produced it faster. But honestly, the slower you cook, the better you get. It's a stew. It's not a microwave dinner. Oh my God, you're still saving? Jeebus. Well, no wonder I couldn't find it. Holy Hannah, that was a slow save. Let's there it is. All right, so let's see how is this thing supposed to click into place? First thing I know I need to do is push this to the background. I think I'm missing some text. I'll catch up with you dudes. And then we'll go to behind text. And how does it actually sit in the document? Nope. Now the question becomes, did I need to trim the filigree to be able to better mesh? Or did I do a sufficient job? And is it going to properly lay on the line? Oh my God, that's so pretty. All right, I'm going to hit... no, I don't want to select all. Thanks, though. I'm going to save instead. And let's go to export. And while I'm exporting... What's up? Yes. That's what game design is all about, man. I'm sure many of the individual writers would love to go ham with it, but it's too. Yeah, exactly. It objectively has to result in a worse product. Yeah. Well, it's the least common denominator of game design. But it builds a base frame. The problem is that when they try to use that creativity in that constrained space, they end up making things like the Twilight Cleric, which is like how else, like they're bending in like with all of those temporary hit points that it gives for whatever fucking reason. But like they couldn't design an astrology system. The best they got was the Moon Sorcerer, which is pretty crazy. It has 3 separate spell lists that you can oscillate between, depending on what phase of the moon you decide to wake up with, right? That's pretty fucking gonzo. But it could have been a much more elegant system, expanding on like different phases of the moon, express it differently with different types of mechanics. But the lowest hanging fruit that you can distill a system down into is just give them extra spells, change the spell list that they get. Like that is very saltine cracker white bread safety. But that's how you build a baseline. That's the base fundamental physics of how the 5e game works. I don't begrudge them. I used to begrudge them a lot, but I got over it because I recognized the their constraint Like my constraint is that I'll never be as popular as I would want to be. Their constraint is that for them to be as popular as they are, they can't take risks. So, like, not a lot of people like Spelljammer. More people like Spelljammer than they like Strixhaven. But that's got all the grognards on board. Some of the Harry Potter fans showed up for Strix. That's cool. But like, by the time they got around to Dragonlance, I think they damaged their reputation so much that that people just didn't trust it would do well, and the grognards weren't interested in 5e because it wasn't really they weren't seeing 5e like WotC is reaching out to the OSR community. They were seeing them as becoming adversarial, and you know grognards love to be adversarial. So that is what grogs do. Are we sitting pretty? Yes, we are. Oh my god, it's perfect. All right, well, it's perfect. Perfect is as perfect does. So we're done with this page, right? I can't begrudge them, but it explains a lot. So when you look at why won't they do this or why won't they do that, like why is adding a saving throw to every type of weapon their big move for martials? It's because the move they should make is basically building an entire spell system for martial characters that can compete and scale with wizards and other full casters. But that's going to push away the beer and pretzel people that probably are never going to buy a book anyway. So I really wonder, how many people do they retain with simplicity versus who they could attract with complexity and innovation? That's something they would never risk to find out. Bob's your uncle. Which is a reason why the Wizards generally doesn't make comment on things that are released on the DMsGuild, even though they get a percentage cut of it. Because Wizards just mentioning a book makes whoever wrote that book an immediate winner. Look at the Jenny D effect. Anything that she is willing to spend her time on and actually thinks is cool enough to recommend to her audience immediately gets gold status. Like it sells 500 copies immediately, period. So having her talk about your book is something that people are willing to pay a lot of money for because they're going to get a lot of money back for it. So now imagine if Wizards like, hey, here's DMsGuild of the week. We think this book in particular is super cool. Keep an eye out for more of this kind of content in 2025. The person would sell 10,000 copies immediately. They could drop the price of $1 and they'd probably sell 20,000 copies and just completely crush their budget. Like they can't do that. They would literally pick and choose who won in the marketplace, which is what they're technically doing right now by offering limited engagement to different companies on D&D Beyond. But the things that they're choosing are these couture designers that are taking mediocre risk with a high level of quality with a track record of high level success. They're not on the bleeding edge, but they are on the blade. So like, what was it? Like Grim Hollow is like a grimdark take, which is very antithetical to the Bunnyland. Whatever the stuffed animals thing is, the furry campaign. I can't remember the name of it, but like those are those are opposite ends of the spectrum, as far as like gritty versus soft, right? It's like stuffed animal versus Darkest Dungeon. And so they can afford to outsource genre risk to these third-party companies that are automatically going to win in their budget for partnering with D&D and having their stuff on D&D Beyond. I don't even think they're bound only to D&D Beyond. It's an impressive license, which speaks to those people like on DMsGuild that were like those low-hanging fruit people. If they keep hitting low fruit enough, that will allow them to reach higher into the branches, into the blade, but not necessarily the bleeding edge. So I heard a really interesting story that smart people are dangerous because most of them never get any recognition for having smart ideas, which makes them bitter and angry and dangerous. And I would say you could go back to like episode 86 of this series and you could probably smell that in some of the bitterness of taking, like, punching up at Wizards. Punching up is fine. However, know thyself before anyone else. And I thought it was really nice that I started to feel like, I don't need to be angry at the company. I can just appreciate the chassis and the frame that it has, that I can build stuff that I'm passionate about on top of it. And I have a space I can go in to get paid for it if people also agree it's cool. I don't need to be bitter and angry because people aren't into color mana. It's like you got to be both a D&D and an MTG enthusiast. That's a really small slice of either audience. There's not a lot of Venn crossover there. Otherwise, we'd be seeing a shitload more of D&D stuff with MTG. We'd see color mana coming from MTG. They had to have done some sort of. I'm actually in the content, the customer service feedback loop on like, here's artwork we're having for an upcoming set of Magic in 18 months. Here's some trim that we're looking at. Here's the theme of a card. Here's an art style we're going with. I'm fortunate enough to be on that customer feedback. I get like a 100-page questionnaire every other month that I get to fill out, and that's a lot of fun. Of all people, I am proud to be on that list because color mana in D&D is so dear to me. But I had not seen any kind of questionnaires about like how much appetite is there for like Grim Hollow and Dungeons and Dragons, for instance. And they probably don't actually have any legit feedback about that. So outsourcing that shit to someone else that has like the what is it, Ghostfire? I think that did that, or was it, I don't remember, Dungeon Dudes maybe? I can't remember who it was. Anyway, somebody, one of those dudes, are pretty large, both of them have pretty large followings. They can successfully build and sell a book. They'll have a high return of investment on a Kickstarter. It makes sense that D&D would, it makes sense that Wizards would want to work with them. I'm ranting about business. Can you tell? Don't mind me. I'm just talking about business. Let's duplicate this layer. Hold on. Cancel. Let's get rid of this layer. Don't need it anymore. We can duplicate this one into a new one. There we go. We can do the same image crop. Crop! And now let's see. I'll catch up on the conversation here while this thing is saving. Lower left-hand corner equals, yeah, 5.6. I'm fine with that. And then 2.2. There we go. And then we'll fudge up these corners. Text. Hopefully I can get up there. Yeah, who knows, We're all hoping. Still there. Of course you are. Also working on RPG design right now, so you're a good stream. I like being a study hall. It's easy for people to ignore me when I rant, and I take that as a compliment. I think the low vibe music and the fits of silence as I try to noodle through something, I think that's conducive to a general study hall environment. I used to draw and design dungeons and stuff in study hall in school like a lot. So I'm legally blind, right? I don't see any color, so I really love painting in color because I'm not supposed to be able to do it. I feel like I've hacked life somehow. But beyond that, the reason I bring it up is because I was fucking around like a 12-year-old would fuck around in school, and I was being stupid, and I was in sewing class because we had a sewing class, and like home ec and all that other stuff. Well, sewing was one of the aspects of that, and I wanted specifically to take sewing. Because I was starting to get interested, like I was transitioning out of robots and armor into fabric and chainmail. So like cloth was starting to become something I was interested in as a fledgling illustrator. So like, if I take a sewing class, I bet I'm going to learn things about fabric that I don't know that might be useful for me. and that's you know, that's just me being I guess a Renaissance man, as it were. But being a stupid kid that I was fucking around, and so I had a string. I spent like 4 cuts trying to cut this stupid string. I kept fucking it up. So I was just holding it up. I just went fuck you, and I just slashed at it, and I missed, and I cut half of my fingertip off, and it was hanging. It like flapped over like a Canadian flapping their head. No offense, Kat, but your square wheels are insane. And so they took me to the nurse. I ended up getting 13 stitches in my finger. And they're like, that blind kid, he's kind of a liability, isn't he? And then like, what's his next class that he has next semester? It's shop. You mean like with saws and drills and shit? They're like, yeah, saws and drills and shit. They're like, no. Phil, we're going to let you pass on that elective. And instead, we're going to put you in the senior study hall. That was the same hour that was allocated for that spot in my segment of the class. So I was hanging out with like 17, 18-year-old kids, reading comic books, talking shit, and I was into D&D, and they were and a lot of them brought comics. Like that's how I got into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that's actually how I found out about the Bomb, or After the Bomb, the ttrpg supplements that Palladium Game had made for TMNT. Some of the best racial design mechanics. The point buy system for creating furry monsters is, I honestly think it's still freaking awesome. If you have not seen the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles RPG by Palladium, just go to the back of the book, and it has like this point buy system that is just, you can build any kind of monster that you want. And then After the Bomb, that was the time and dimensional stuff. So like they had dinosaur stuff and super mutants and aliens, so you could use the same point buy system to make, you know, bug eye aliens or a T-Rex or like an intelligent raptor that could drive a car. It's super fun, freaky fun stuff, and all the artwork was so freaking cool. There was like a gearhead porcupine that had like goggles and a cigarette. It was such cool art. And they had villains were the Doomsday Bears. They had Dread Bear and Fear Bear and Sorrow Bear and War Bear. And they like War Bear had a mushroom cloud on his chest instead of a rainbow. It's so cool. It was super geeky fun stuff. Highly recommend it if you're into that geek shit. It's Palladium. I mean, Palladium is a train wreck of a game. Its engine is bullshit, but God, they've got some of the absolute best flavor, and character design is intense. It's I legitimately enjoy Palladium as an IP and concept. I would love to see Rifts 5e or like Rifts in the Dark. A Cypher System Rift, like a Rifts game with Cypher System that would work. I mean, basically any system that's not Palladium, for God's sake. Anything other than Palladium. Take everything that Palladium has ever done and just let someone else do it. Choice. It would be absolutely choice. God, I'm throwing shade. But I played Robotech, I played Rifts, I played TMNT, and those are just rough games. Like take the worst of Rollmaster and Zweihander and Dungeons and Dragons, and World of Darkness, take the worst of all that stuff and build it into some of the coolest IP that's out there. And that's Palladium in a nutshell. God bless you guys, but holy crap, can you please build a streamlined system? Okay, thanks. Bye. I love them though, man. Palladium's so cool. Yes. God, yes. Just everything about it is so cool, and they do not care about balancing at all. And you can because all the systems are the same. You can play I would play TMNT characters in our Rifts game. Like Rocket Raccoon was a mutated raccoon that was a biped that had genius cape, like Donatello's machine genius ability. It was super easy to build Rocket Raccoon. But fun as fuck. Let's see. I'm trying to build this into a proper shape. God, I'm geeking out, and it's making it difficult for me to think. 2.2 by 5.6. There. Now we'll align to the bottom corner. This is why me painting on stream is better than than assembly work, because assembly actually requires thinking and holding numbers in my head. And the process of me rambling is forcibly emptying my skull of meaning. So like they're antithetical processes. Sad panda, but fun. Nonetheless. We do what we must because, I mean, I got to put in the hours. I got to get this thing fucking done. So even if this isn't very efficient time spent, it'll at least make me frustrated how inefficient I've been, that when I'm done streaming, I'll be willing to do it for another hour and a half before I crash. And then get up in the morning and do it with you guys. I'm going to do Lies Zaraxis Part 2 tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Picture from file equals 52. But I saved you, didn't I? The answer is no, I did not. File, save as, PNG, all this time. Betrayal. Yeah, there it is. Nope, don't want that. I'm lost. Lost in the sauce. There we go, 52. There we go. Now I can do this in peace. Here's this, that sits. What do we want to look at while we're here? Shield of Faith. When targeting a ship with a spell, it gains a +2 bonus to armor class. Not a very useful spell, huh? They're not all winners, but it's an example. These are things that have unique mechanics that are useful to look at. Oh yeah, this is a fun one. Alter Self. When targeting a ship with the spell, choose one of the following options. Change appearance. You transform the appearance of the ship to any creature or object of the same size. You can grow a ram, a bludgeoning ram, piercing ram, or slashing ram. This ram is magic, and you have a +1 bonus to your ship melee attack roll and deal damage appropriate to the size of the ship. You can use an action to choose a different option each turn until the spell ends. So one slot is you can target a craft up to 50 feet in size. 2 slots, target a ship up to 500 feet in size. So each ram has a different effect. Slashing rams deal triple damage. Bludgeoning rams deal double damage and automatically scuttle scuttle the target. And scuttling, again, is when you knock the alignment of the gravity plane of the ship so that everybody on board the ship takes falling damage equal to the size of the ship divided by 50 d6. It's like a scorpion ship is a 75-foot long craft. Round that up to 100 feet divided by 50. If a scorpion ship gets scuttled, if you don't use your reaction to brace for impact, you'll take 2d6 falling damage inside the ship. So when you hit with a bludgeoning ram, it deals double damage, and it automatically scuttles everybody. So they have to, like the pilot has to make the saving throw to stay in their seat, otherwise the ship systems go down. Piercing rams deal double damage and automatically grapple the target if the hit succeeds. So you're either going to grapple a target for free, you're going to scuttle them for free, or you're going to deal triple damage instead of double. So the rams are a lot of fun, and it normally takes like 500 feet. Like a vessel needs 500 feet of movement. A fighter craft needs 50 feet of movement to ram. But if you don't have that space, you can use the surge action to just basically go to light speed at point blank. Like your 1-inch punch is 10,000 miles per round. And that's how you're going to deal your ramming damage, by moving an inch at 1,000 miles per round. Bruce Lee, eat your heart out. So now I think I've rambled on enough. We have time to go down into here and insert this. So with the Alter Self spell, when you're targeting a ship, you can swap out what kind of rams it has. You can morph it into a blade, into a blunt object, into a piercing ram, to change what type of rams it has, so you can change what your action economy is doing. Because you can make an attack with a bonus action. So you could spend your turn, you can spend your action reforging the shape of your ram, use your object interaction to get up to ramming speed or to surge, and then you have your bonus action left over to make an attack. And normally it would be you make an attack and then you have to use your bonus action to scuttle, or you have to use your bonus action to grapple. But by doing it this way, the bonus action is your attack, and it folds that bonus action economy into the attack by itself. Let me make sure I'm not a filthy muggle liar here real quick. That is probably going to fit really, really nicely. So let's push. I'll go look at that for a second. I think that's true. Hold on. Send behind text. And then send to the back. Take your bullshit to the back of the bus. Let's fill the front plate with nothing so that we can still successfully press on the buttons. And the artwork is smoothly integrated without a border anymore. So if this went correctly, we should be able to press save. This is page 52. File, extract from PDF, interior, here, open, page 52 document, no properties or tags, equals publish. Bob's your uncle. Hi, Uncle Bob. Let's kiss and pray this is going to be there. I noticed a tiny little glitch. It's a 1 pixel mark. Let's go check the corner over here to see how this is sitting. And that is lined up perfectly. So again, I'm going to want to raise the pixels. I'm going to want to raise that corner up a pixel. But first thing I want to do, I want to go hunt down our action economy real quick. Just make sure I'm not talking out of my ass. Let's go to ship rules. There we go. Pilot. Bonus action can be used to make an attack. There you go. So yeah, you could use change self or alter self to form a ram. Use your interaction once per round to move the ship because you're steering it. And then you have your bonus action to then make an attack with the ram, which gives you the free action economy. There you go. Like normally, you can see down here, ram and scuttle are bonus actions normally. After you make a successful attack, you can ram or scuttle. But when you're making the ram attack, it folds the scuttle or ram into it, like I've been saying. So super fucking great stuff. Absolutely. God, I love this book. Such cool shit. Right, so I want to come down here. I'm going to zoom in as much as it's going to let me. Because if I do, I should be able to use one little bump. There, that should work. So file, export, PDF. I have a theory. Interior pages. I think the width of this image file is an odd number. Let's see if that's true, because I think the odd number is what's throwing it off by a pixel. If it's an even number, I bet it sits pretty. Publish. Please. Did you see it? Did you see where the crease was? It's there. We just can't see it anymore because it's lined up fucking perfectly. So we're good. I will now pat myself on the back. Okay, so here's this. Yeah. Oh no, it was offset up and down. So was the height an odd number? Nope. It's 2.2. Huh. Well, never mind. I was thinking an odd number was what was causing the futz, but apparently it's not. So, screw me. Oh, was that change self? No, it had to be alter self, right? Yeah, second level alter self. God, what a cool spell. I gotta say, man, the Twilight Cleric, in most circumstances, the temporary hit points that I can dump onto your team is OP, but when you've got a pilot that's about to tank 80 points of damage to keep the ship from being destroyed, Twilight Cleric comes in pretty fucking handy, man. Comes in real handy. Absolutely am on board with the Twilight Cleric being on your spelljamming team. Spelljammer All-Stars! Fight fast! Timely timer, keeping my time. Oh, shit. It's 9:30 already. Well, kids. Heroes Unlimited was one of the slightly more refined... Oh, that's right. They did Heroes Unlimited. You're right. Guys, it's 9:30. That's my... I gotta tap out. So, when we come back tomorrow, looks like we only have, what, 1, 2, 3... We only got 4 more of these. This will be done in the morning. The Spelljammer. The spellcasting section will be. I still have Exploration, Hazards, and the Creature Menagerie to do. And the second act of Light of Zaraxis. So we're going to continue with Light of Zaraxis tomorrow morning because there is no corner art in that book at all. I don't have to worry about lining up my corners, my edges, ever. I just got to make sure it fits in the space that we built. So it's a lot easier for me to brain dead that stuff in the morning when I'm still trying to put coffee into my system. I'm not all hyped up on goofballs yet. So anyone that's new out there, hey, this is what we do. We do this 11 times each week for typically an hour and a half to 3 hours. More often an hour and a half. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications. Jump on my Discord through the About page, my Patreon. Drop $1 a month while you're there. Give me a tip. Hey. But otherwise, I'm going to be back in the morning. We'll do more Spelljammer artwork. Once this stuff is done, we'll then be moving into. Then we'll finish the ship stat sheets, and we'll break up all the maps into the 10 by 10 squares, so you can print them out on 11 by 17 pages. The legal size documents. I don't know what that is in centimeters. Don't bug me. Finish the book, map assets, and then all the tokens, breaking those out into color and black and white versions of each. Black and white for easy printing, color for VTT. So that's what we're looking to get done. And I'm not sure how many days it's going to take, but it's one less now. And we're almost done. We got like maybe 35 or so assets that we need to finish in the book. I think the book itself will probably be done by Thursday. And then I'll probably have time for the rest of the weekend to break out all those assets and probably have it published by Tuesday. That feels realistic. I keep saying it feels realistic to blank, but I keep getting reminded, hey, you have additional tasks you need to perform, X, Y, and Z. Get to those. But I think I've just ran out of X, Y's, and Z's. So I think we really are I don't think about how much I have to break. I think I got to process the tokens, and I think of that as one action. That's a lot of actions. So it actually eats up a lot of action economy on my table to break out all those things and then form them into separate little JPEG assets for VTT, and then to break them out and then put them on a sheet, so you don't have to have one sheet per 1 inch. Black and white character icon. Is I can load in 30 of those onto a page. So I should probably lay those all out so that I have 30 on the page, so that you don't have to burn through shitloads of pages on your printer to do this stuff. So the minutia, I don't think about the small scale, the step-by-step process, the sub-steps that go into the section steps that go into each step that completes the project. So, but we're getting there. We're getting there, guys. So I'll see everyone in the morning. I hope you all have a good night. I'm having a great night. So thanks a lot for being here, guys. Really, I really appreciate you. So we'll see you on the other side. Later, Gators.